In this video, let's look at how to reverse engineer an imported scan. So first we'll go ahead and insert this scanned mesh. And so I'll select that and put it into our file. Now I'm going to turn on the visibility of the origin. And first thing we notice is that the geometry isn't at the origin. So I want to move it to the origin. So I'll tell it to center that geometry at the origin. Now the origin is centered in the geometry, but we see that the geometry isn't related to or oriented to the top front right side view. It's at some skewed angle. And so I want to rotate it around and get it so that it is better oriented to my origin planes. And so I might have to do this in several different steps. And I'm going to drag this around about like that. And then I'm going to look at this from a different view. And because of the orientation of this, it is really difficult to get it to orient to the origin plane. So we're going to have to do this in a different way. So I'm going to say OK to this and get out of the placement. And I'm going to do a move. And I want to set my pivot point at the origin. So I'm going to do set pivot point, and I'm going to try to select this origin if I can get it. And if I can't get it, I'll just put it someplace on one of these planes. And so I'm just going to select this plane, and I'll find a point here. And now notice that this is parallel to that plane. I need to say done here. So this is the most common error, is to forget to select this done after selecting the pivot point. And so I'll select that done. And then I'm going to start to rotate this around to get it lined up. And I need to look at it from different views to get the orientation lined up. And this will be an iterative process where you do a little bit at a time until we get it lined up with the origin. So I'm going to line this up a little bit this way, and I'll go back to the top view or the back view, and I'll line it up this way. Now I want to line it up to the planes as well, and so I'm going to go ahead and say OK at this point. And let's look around here at the top view of this. I'm going to assume that these lines should be straight across and this should be straight up and down. So let's do a sketch on this face. And I'm going to draw a line from here over to here. And with calipers, I can measure the distance. So for the center to center, so this is the center plus the radius. This is the center plus the radius. So radius plus radius is diameter. So if I measure from here to here and subtract the diameter, that gives me the center to center distance. Now I've already done this once, and so 62.5 was what I measured as the center to center distance. So I'll put in that 62.5. And I'm going to just, well, let's do a little bit more on this as well. So let's turn off the bodies for a minute, and I'm going to center this up with the origin. And so let's draw a line from here, and I'm going to go down to the midpoint of this, and then make this line vertical so that it's centered. And I'm going to change these two to construction lines. So I'll hit X on the keyboard, change those to construction, and now let's turn that geometry back on again. And I'm just going to eyeball this for now. We'll move it more precisely here in a few minutes. And then I want to put in a slot shape for this as well. And it might be easier if I go around to the back view. I haven't decided where I want to do it from the back view or the front top view. Let's go ahead and do this slot. So I'll do create a slot. And I'm going to just put it in here by eye at first. And so I see that I have more space down here, have less space up here, so I need to move this whole object down some. And so I'm going to drag the sketch back and forth between the move and the uh, so that it occurs in history. It'll help me locate that move. So then I'll edit feature on that move again, and each time I want to reset this pivot point. And so this isn't a one time and done. Well, make sure you click done here. We have to go through an iterative process, go back and forth, and get this lined up. Now, sometimes when you're trying to do the real fine alignment, you can't control it with the mouse, and so you have to come over here and type in that angle. And I'm going to just leave it at there for a minute, and we'll drag this down. I'm trying to get this centered, and actually uh, I want this slot to be centered at the origin, and so I'm going to just go back to that sketch and move that. Okay, so I'll go back to this sketch and I'll edit that sketch. Let's turn off that geometry for a minute. I want the midpoint of this line to be at the origin, so I'll do midpoint. I'll select this line, I'll select the origin, and now I have that. And then I'll go back and turn my, we'll continue moving this thing. So I wanted the center between here and here. I wanted it the origin. And so I'll edit that feature again. I need to reset each time, reset my pivot point, and I'm going to set it here at the origin and make sure you say done. And then I'm going to move this down. We'll move it over a little bit, and I'm trying to get it halfway between here and here, and also in the center of this geometry. Now we haven't completely lined that geometry up yet, so I won't worry about it getting it perfect just yet. I'm looking at whether it's lined up vertically. It's lined up vertically pretty well, and I'll go back. I see that this needs to be lined up better, and then I'm going to move it this direction a little bit. I want to get this face right here along here, or this face. Let's move this back to, oops, I didn't intend to do that. Let's see if I can get it back to, okay. And now I intended to do this arrow. And I may need to move that a little bit in that angle, but we'll come back to that. Let's look at it and from the top view. And it might be easier if I put it at this edge out here at the plane. I can see that more clearly if I move that out to here. Okay, and it's still got to rotate it a little bit. So there isn't an easy button solution for doing this. It's an iterative process where you have to go back and forth. Let's see, here's my, actually I'm not sure where my origin is. You might have to turn that origin on and off again to see it. It's actually where this line and this line. I want to move this over a little bit. I'm trying to center that up. And I may need to rotate that angle a little bit. I'm going to drag this down some, drag it out some. Yeah, so I'm trying to get that shape, and I need to go a little bit less this way. So going back and forth then, and once I get this where I want it, I'm going to move the sketch to after the move, because if I go backwards, this goes back to where it was originally. You continue on, and once you have that in place, you start to sketch out the geometry using the shape that you imported, and that along with the calipers, you can use that imported scan as a sanity check to make sure that you get all of the geometry modeled and you get it modeled in the correct location. But again, there's no easy button solution to that. If we look at this imported model, it is thousands of tiny triangular faces defined, outlined by straight lines. So when we zoom out, it looks like it's curved, but there aren't any curves in this geometry. It's all faceted triangular planar faces. So if we want true curved geometry, we're going to have to model that geometry from scratch, or at least from reference of the imported model. I forgot to mention that if you have a simple geometry import, you may be able to use these mesh tools to prepare the model for conversion to a solid body, and then convert mesh, and you may be able to get this to a prismatic model. Not on this one, it's too complicated, but for a better STL file with less curvature. Now, if you have this add-in, this plug-in, additional cost, then you can convert the organic mesh body. But again, it's going to pick up a lot of the irregularities of the skin. It may or may not give you the quality that you need. So this is sort of a automatic way of doing it, but the quality might not be as good as what you are expecting.